For 120 years, T-Rex fossils built the same picture. One animal that owned the end of the Cretaceous unchallenged. That picture just shattered. New evidence published in Nature has forced paleontologists to rewrite what T-Rex actually was. Scientists are calling it an upgrade, and the distinction matters enormously. What does it take to overturn a century of consensus built on bones? Apparently, one fossil locked inside two animals at once. In 1902, Barnum Brown knelt in the cracked, sun-baked badlands of Montana and did something no careful excavator was supposed to do. He reached for dynamite, explosives, packed against rock that had been sealing its secrets since the Cretaceous. Working for the American Museum of Natural History, Brown blasted his way toward something the world had never laid eyes on. What he pulled from that shattered stone was far from complete: a partial skull, a handful of vertebrae, limb bones that told only fragments of a larger story. Yet in 1905, paleontologist Henry Fairfield Osborn formally named the animal without ever fully reckoning with how incomplete that evidence was. He called it Tyrannosaurus rex, and in doing so, built a legend on a skeleton that was, by any rigorous standard, riddled with gaps. The broad strokes might hold, the details would not, and that became the problem. That incomplete skeleton hardened into scientific bedrock. Museums mounted it upright, tail dragging behind like a third leg, chest thrust forward, arms reduced to an afterthought. Growth models were built on top of it. Theories of behavior followed. Hunting strategies were inferred from bones that were never fully there to begin with. In 1915, the American Museum of Natural History mounted its T-Rex specimen upright. That posture made intuitive sense to human eyes. It was wrong in almost every measurable way. Then came 1993. Jurassic Park didn't just entertain 500 million people. It educated them. That film's T-Rex became the definitive reference point for an entire generation of scientists and teachers. The dragging tail had been quietly fixed by then, but the screaming open mouth, the forward-lurching silhouette, the sense of a creature defined entirely by brute aggression, those stuck. Hard. What makes this damaging isn't that Hollywood got it wrong. Every era dramatizes what it doesn't fully understand. What's damaging is that the fictional version arrived with such overwhelming cultural force that it actively slowed the scientific conversation for decades. The image calcified, the questions stopped, and it would take an extraordinary piece of physical evidence to finally crack it open again. The crack came from a cattle ranch in Montana in 2006, when a rancher named Clayton Phipps stumbled across something that had no business existing. Two dinosaurs locked together in the same slab of rock as though they had died mid-collision. One was a Triceratops, the other was a Tyrannosaur. Both preserved in extraordinary detail, bones articulated, skulls intact, positioned in a way that suggested the Earth had swallowed them almost instantly after death. Paleontologists have a name for finds like this: exceptional. The Dueling Dinosaurs became the most talked about undescribed fossil on the planet. But for 18 years, most scientists couldn't study it. It sat in private hands, bounced between auction houses and collectors, and spent the better part of 2 decades legally inaccessible to the researchers who most needed to examine it. Then, in April 2024, the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences opened the Dueling Dinosaurs exhibit to the public. The Tyrannosaur specimen finally had a home, a research team, and access. What made this particular fossil so pivotal? The answer is completeness. Most Tyrannosaur specimens arrive as fragments. Researchers have spent a century stitching together the T-Rex body plan from dozens of incomplete animals, filling the gaps with inference. The Dueling Dinosaurs Tyrannosaur arrived differently, whole, articulated, readable in a way that earlier specimens simply were not. That level of completeness meant researchers could finally do something unprecedented: compare this animal's entire skeleton against known T-Rex material. And what they found, anchored in this single specimen, would cascade outward into every assumption the last 100 years of Tyrannosaur research had quietly taken for granted. Lindsay Zano of NC State University put it plainly: this fossil doesn't just settle the debate, it flips decades of T-Rex research on its head. The Dueling Dinosaurs handed scientists a specimen complete enough to run a forensic audit on a century of assumptions, and the results came back in November 2025, published in Nature, devastating in their precision. The fossil at the center of that audit is nicknamed Bloody Mary. She is the tyrannosaur half of the Dueling Dinosaurs pair. What researchers did with her skeleton is something closer to a criminal investigation than a paleontological survey. They compared her against every usable tyrannosaur specimen in the record, more than 200 fossils examined, cross-referenced, measured. If Bloody Mary were a juvenile T-Rex, her anatomy should blur smoothly into the adult T-Rex profile as you scale her up. Instead, the differences kept accumulating. Features that should have been transitional was simply absent, replaced by something categorically distinct. The count reached over 150 anatomical differences. What makes Bloody Mary's case airtight are the specifics. She carries more teeth than T-Rex, a detail that cannot be explained by age, because tooth count in tyrannosaurs is fixed by species, not growth stage. Her tail is shorter, built from fewer vertebrae. Her forearms are longer and structurally stronger, equipped with a vestigial third finger that T-Rex simply does not have. T-Rex arms are famously stubby and two-fingered. Bloody Mary's arms are a different architectural solution entirely. That distinction matters beyond anatomy. Arms of that length and build suggest an animal that used them, one that had not surrendered forelimb function to the same evolutionary trade-off T-Rex made. Zano's team put it directly. This specimen showed, for the first time, what Nanotyrannus actually was. Medium-sized, long-legged, built for speed rather than mass. A very different predatory profile from the creature it supposedly grew into. The verdict from Nature is unambiguous. Nanotyrannus lancensis is its own species. It is not a T-Rex at any age. It never was. The research also surfaced a secondary finding that complicates the picture further. A separate specimen, previously cataloged under the Nanotyrannus umbrella, differed enough from Bloody Mary to warrant its own name, Nanotyrannus lithaeus, which means the genus itself may contain more than one species. Two tyrannosaurs in the same ecosystem was already a revision. The possibility of three is something the field has barely started processing, and that ecosystem question is where the real disruption begins. Because if T-Rex shared its final million years with at least one other apex-capable tyrannosaur, then every predator niche model, population study, and growth curve built around the assumption that T-Rex ruled alone, those need to be run again from scratch. If Nanotyrannus was real, then the final chapter of the Cretaceous wasn't a tyrannosaur monoculture. It was a divided kingdom. Two apex-capable predators, different body plans, presumably different hunting strategies, operating across the same landscape at the same time. What does that actually change? Everything built on the assumption of solo tyrannosaur dominance needs revisiting. Population density models for T-Rex were calculated assuming it sat alone at the top of the food chain with no lateral competition from a comparable predator. Those calculations absorbed all available biomass into one species. Split that biomass between two, and T-Rex population estimates drop. Growth rate studies, which used juvenile specimens now reassigned to Nanotyrannus, were anchored to a misidentified animal. The growth curves weren't wrong in their methodology, they were wrong in their subject matter. But Nanotyrannus wasn't just a smaller T-Rex. Confirmed as medium-sized, long-legged, and faster, with longer arms and more teeth, it almost certainly hunted differently, where T-Rex likely pursued large, slower prey. Triceratops, Edmontosaurus, Nanotyrannus may have worked smaller, quicker targets, not rivals for the same kill, occupants of separate rungs on the same ladder. This was closer to a partition predator guild, each species exerting pressure on a different slice of the ecosystem. Which means prey species diversity in Hell Creek also needs re-examining, because something was keeping that lower tier of fauna in check, and the assumption was always T-Rex. And the possibility of a third tyrannosaur means the field hasn't finished untangling this yet. What paleontologists now have is a more complex, ecologically realistic Hell Creek. A food web with depth, not just a single dominant predator at the top. While paleontologists were untangling the tyrannosaur family tree, a separate wave of post-2023 research was quietly dismantling every assumption about how T-Rex actually perceived its world. not what it looked like from the outside, what it experienced from the inside. CT scans of T-Rex endocasts reveal olfactory bulbs proportionally massive, even by theropod standards. Researchers at the University of Calgary, cross-referencing bulb volume against body mass, placed T-Rex near the top of all known dinosaurs for olfactory investment, an animal that could detect chemical signals across distances that would make its visual range irrelevant. But what about vision? The old model handed T-Rex forward-facing eyes and left it at that. Updated geometric modeling of the skull, published in 2023 by Poular and colleagues at Yale, revised the binocular overlap estimate upward, significantly, to somewhere between 55 and 60 degrees. For comparison, a modern hawk operates at roughly 50 degrees. T-Rex, at that estimate, had depth perception exceeding most living apex predators. It did not just detect prey, it measured distance with surgical accuracy before committing to a charge. Now here is the detail that genuinely reframes everything. Acoustic analysis of T-Rex inner ear morphology suggests the animal's hearing was tuned to exceptionally low frequencies, below 20 Hz in some estimates. An animal with a nose that could track chemical traces across open ground, eyes calibrated for precise depth judgment, and ears built to receive signals humans cannot detect. A predator that sensed prey presence long before they sensed its. If T-Rex was communicating in frequencies that left no acoustic trace at human scale, whether it hunted alone or operated with greater coordination becomes genuinely open, which makes what scientists know about its physical appearance even harder to square with the icon we built. What does the most recognizable animal silhouette in natural history actually look like? In 2023, a paleohistology study coordinated through the University of Bristol examined scale impressions preserved across multiple Tyrannosaur specimens. What those traces showed was that the tissue architecture around the jaw margin was structured differently than the exposed teeth model demanded. Crocodilians, the closest living analog with similar dentition, have lips. Komodo dragons have lips. Monitor lizards have lips. The pattern across scaled reptiles with large teeth is overwhelmingly consistent. Soft tissue covers the dental row when the mouth is closed. The implication lands hard. Every museum mount, film render, and logo featuring those iconic exposed teeth standing proud from the jaw. That image reflects an animal that almost certainly never existed. But what really makes the feather evidence more unsettling is how subtle the signal is. Quill knobs have been identified in fossil relatives of T-Rex. Trace evidence in some specimens suggests residual anchor structures, meaning full defeathering in adult T-Rex remains contested rather than confirmed. The animal may have retained integumentary structures across at least portions of its body. The creature that hunted using senses calibrated beyond human detection that communicated in registers we cannot hear also looked nothing like the leathery open-mouthed predator frozen in cultural memory. Two separate scientific lines, one conclusion. The icon was wrong on almost every surface. What remains now is building the accurate portrait from everything that evidence has actually established. Here is where every thread pulls tight. What researchers are looking at is not a corrected monster. It is a completely different category of predator. Speed estimates have shifted with the posture revisions. A horizontal spine and recalibrated muscle mass models now place T-Rex closer to a sustained pursuit gait than the lurching ambush that older reconstructions implied. Not fast by modern standards, roughly 11 to 12 kilometers per hour at a controlled walk, but mechanically efficient in a way the upright museum mount never suggested. And then there is what the Nanotyrannus conformation actually forces on the broader family tree. Two Tyrannosaur species occupying the same ecosystem in the final million years of the Cretaceous means every growth rate model, every body mass estimate, every behavioral inference built on specimens that may have been misidentified now carries an asterisk. Researchers examining those 200-plus fossils are effectively rerunning decades of conclusions. The taxonomic consensus around tyrannosaurs will not settle before 2030 at the earliest, possibly later. But what really makes the full portrait striking is this. Every single upgrade arrived from evidence already sitting in collections, excavated, and photographed. The animal did not change, the questions did, which raises the obvious implication. If T-Rex hid this much revision in plain sight for a century, the next complete skeleton pulled from Hell Creek may not refine the portrait. It may erase it again. The real mystery was never whether T-Rex was the apex predator. It was whether scientists had been studying the right animal all along. Future excavations at Hell Creek may finally close that gap if funding holds. For now, a single set of longer arms on Bloody Mary changed everything.